it looked as if the police attempted to get to sort of the front near where the bandstand was, which is where the flowers were, and that's where several of the arrests seemed to happen. Would that be about right?
That's correct, and I think that's what upset many of us. Was that necessary for them to stand in front of the flowers, in front of the candles, in front of us, which felt like they were almost standing against us? Was that necessary? But that's where they were. I myself was originally next to the stand, but when I saw the women in the stand being handled quite aggressively, I just thought it was only right that I join them and make sure that they know they're supported.
Were the officers, I mean, it looked to me, and again, I wasn't there, you were there, so you can clarify or shoot me down on this. It looked as if the police had initially started to ask some of the women there, look, this isn't meant to be happening. We've got 2,000 people here. That really can't happen. Would you mind moving back? Would you mind beginning the process of leaving? If you leave from the front, then other people will leave. And that fell on deaf ears, and that's when the police had to take action and arrest people.
Yeah, I mean, I myself, and I've said this a couple of times, and I'm being completely honest here, is I felt conflicted when I was standing there.
You felt, sorry?
I felt conflicted when I was standing there.
But between being there and why you were there?
Between, the policemen and them being there and following orders. I was told they were following orders, but now I know they actually can use their own discretion to handle these things better.
But they did have 2,000 people in a park.
We were 2,000. I mean, it doesn't seem that it was 2,000, but I'll take your word for it. It didn't. We were peaceful. We were women there, women and men there, mourning, sad, at a vigil, at a memorial. That's what we do. Peaceful.
No, I don't think anybody disputes that it was peaceful. I think the police's problem was that, it was no other way to put this, an illegal gathering.
And that is why I was at conflict. I mean, the vigil was cancelled, and I made my way alone, not knowing that there was going to be a gathering. And I assume a lot of women felt that way too. They just wanted to pay their respects. We wanted an outlet for our frustrations and the trauma that we feel on these streets every day. We needed an outlet, and if there was understanding and compassion to the violence against women, this could have been organised safely and could have been avoided. But to expect women that are living in trauma and fear to stay at home and not pay their respects and not go there is I think ridiculous. And me personally, I wasn't going to let that brew inside me. So
was there? I mean, a lot of people might not even recognise your description of life as a woman. Some might say, we've had plenty of communications from people who've said, yes, there are times when it feels, difficult. If it's, a certain situation, a certain road, a certain walk home, then there is a sense of vulnerability. But day to day, it's not an ongoing sense that we're going to be attacked every single moment we walk anywhere.
I mean, we just have to look at the statistics. I mean, recent studies came out, 97% of women have been sexually harassed. And that does deserve being broken down, perhaps on another occasion. I'm not defending anything there, but I mean, harassment, whether it's overhearing somebody speaking or whether it's what somebody says in the workplace, there's many elements to that stat. I'm not trying to reduce the severity of people who've been on the receiving end of something awful, but it is worth throwing that point in. I understand that point, but I think it's important to, from my position, I feel it's on that spectrum of objectification of women. And this is the exact point. You might find that wolf whistling or an inappropriate comment at work isn't that serious. But, another statistic is 1 in 5 women, or I believe it's 1 in 3 women, have experienced sexual abuse.
None of it is acceptable. I don't dispute that.
Being catcalled and being harassed.
I hear all of that, but I don't. Yes, indeed. But was Saturday, Dania, the place to make all of those points as distinct from? And I know you'll probably say, well, it was a mixture of everything. But for some people, there were 2 or 3 things going on here. There were people who were there for a vigil, with a candle, with a torch, whatever, and simply wanted a moment's silence to remember Sarah. And it was less than 24 hours before, of course, that she had been found. And there were others, it seemed, that were heavily politicised in making various other points, which all might be reasonable, but the argument that follows is that perhaps those points should have happened on a different day.
Most of the people there, I assume, did not know Sarah. The reason why everyone went to this vigil is because we so deeply resonated and related to the Sarah Everard case, is that she was another woman doing everything that we're told to do to avoid the scenario of rape or murder, and she still got murdered. And that's why we were there. Of course, it is extremely saddening that she has lost her life. And this case was a turning point, and it is something about much bigger than that. It's about women feeling this fear on a daily basis on the streets and when walking alone. Okay. And this is why we went there.
No, I understand that. And just tell us, Dania, so were you handcuffed? Were you taken into a van? Were you then de-arrested? What happened? What was the upshot of your own experience?
So after I got dragged and the women got dragged, I was handcuffed and led to the van.
When you say dragged, I mean, how do you mean dragged? I mean, marched or dragged?
Dragged. You can see it on the videos that we were dragged. We were pulled. I mean, at that point, if you can just imagine being in that situation where you're just standing there, and I turn around and I see women being yanked by the police, and
what are the police supposed to do if they're asking people to leave and they're not leaving? I'm not taking a side here. I'm just intrigued as to how the police are meant to deal with that.
What I know, it wasn't necessary to yank us. It was unnecessary force.
And have you been fined, Dania?
I have, yes.
Was that £200?
I haven't been told how much it was. Okay. The fine is. I haven't been told.
Are you going to pay it?
The fine. There's an appeal process, I've been told.
Okay.